Yo, how's it going? Not too long ago, I played and beat Silent Hill 2 for the first time. To keep it short, it left me scarred and wanting more. But nah, it immediately became one of my favorite games of all time. There are times when you come across a piece of entertainment that you can't help but notice that it's objectively perfect. That is what Silent Hill 2 is for me. A game that had me as equally as afraid as addicted. A game that had me thinking about it days after completing it. Yep, it was one of those. But what exactly did Silent Hill 2 do so well to have me and many others feel that way? Well, it's pretty straightforward, and yet also nuanced. Silent Hill 2 does a myriad of things right. As stated earlier, probably to perfection. Its believable characters, its realistic depictions of trauma, the horror, just to name a few. But there's one thing in particular Silent Hill 2 does so well. Its atmosphere, and in extension, its OST. Whether it's a video game or movie, nailing the atmosphere is key to immersing the player or viewer. It keeps you grounded in the world and makes you want to continue consuming whatever media you're consuming, even if it scares you shitless like Silent Hill 2. In the beginning, you are greeted by a monologue from the main character, James Sunderland, and how he received a letter from his wife to meet at their special place in the town known as Silent Hill. The ethereal music, along with the tilted camera angle and bleak visuals, really set the tone for the beginning of the game. And then that forest walk, bruh. On my first playthrough, that walk was very terrifying. It was so bad that I kept on pausing the game. The ambience didn't help at all either. While walking down the trail, you hear noises within the forest. It sounded like a dog or some unknown creature lurking in the grass. But yo, let's talk about that music. The song that plays throughout this little sequence is called Forest Trail. It masterfully sets the tone for this nerve-wracking moment. It starts off ominous, extremely atmospheric, and imparts an odd feeling of calmness and anxiety both at once. As you progress through the trail, the music slowly morphs, signifying you're getting closer to Silent Hill. Then suddenly, dread takes over and envelops your ears with intense anxiety-inducing drone sounds. The walk, paired with the music, makes for a deeply profound and impactful introduction, truly foreshadowing what's to come. The Pyramid Head is iconic, one of the most iconic enemies in horror. Prior to playing Silent Hill 2, I would remember seeing it around the internet and also finding about its origin point being this very game. When you first encounter Pyramid Head in Silent Hill 2, he's just eerily standing there, watching you through the other side of some bars in the hallway. You later come across him again in a room on the 3rd floor of the apartments, killing mannequins in a very grotesque way. This cutscene and the hallway appearance makes for a masterful introduction for a terrifying, abnormal, and formidable enemy. And the first fight you have with it later in this segment of the game drives that home even further. You walk into the Pyramid Head, grotesquely killing more mannequins again, but this time you have no choice but to face it, as the door you just came through is locked and the stairs leading down are flooded. This makes for a very tense and claustrophobic encounter. It doesn't help that your movement is tanky and the Pyramid Head has a long ass blade that can one-shot you. And the music, Pyramid Head's lair, just sells this stressful experience. It's tense, overwhelming, loud, and evokes a feeling of insanity. The metal and harsh clinking noises really help impart those feelings. This embodies the nature of Pyramid Head, without a doubt. Now let's fast forward to later in the game. At this point, you've made it through Brookhaven Hospital into its otherworld counterpart, all the way down into Luca Prison and into the Labyrinth. The Labyrinth is the most abnormal area in the game. I know, that's crazy considering that Silent Hill 2 is a game full of extreme abnormalities. But the Labyrinth is just as it sounds, a maze. You don't even have a normal map of the place. The map you do have is filled out as you progress through these dark, dreadful corridors. This is also where the Pyramid Head resides, and while you don't have a proper boss fight with him this time around, you do encounter him in the lower levels of the labyrinth, stalking in the hallways. What's nice is that if you manage to find a specific door while avoiding him, you can find and obtain the Pyramid Head's signature weapon, the Great Knife, a weapon that can one-shot normal enemies and deal massive damage to bosses. This labyrinth, in my opinion, is the second scariest area in the game, right behind Lakeview Hotel. It just felt really off. Its very existence doesn't seem to make any sense, except that it houses the Pyramid Head. It's an enigma, and it is left up to interpretation. Finally, I want to talk about two of the best examples of Silent Hill 2's mastery of atmosphere and music. These two examples are found in Lakeview Hotel. It's, in my opinion, the scariest area in the game for a multitude of reasons, and it's also my favorite location in the game as well. The enemies, the dark, deep, hollow ambient music, the lighting, the story significance, and implications all make this pretty normal looking location nightmarish. Let's touch on that story significance. Throughout most of your time in Lakeview Hotel, your objective is to get to room 312. James, throughout the story, believes that his wife is here in Silent Hill and that she is waiting for him in that room, the room that they once stayed in together. When you finally make it to that room, you discover that his wife Mary is not in there, but instead there is a television with a VHS player. James places a tape he found within the hotel into that VHS player and discovers that he was responsible for his wife's death. This action of murder is the reason Silent Hill called him in the first place. Upon discovering the truth and all the memories coming back to him, James is struck with denial, guilt, sadness, and despair. The song that plays afterwards, Ashes and Tears, perfectly encapsulates the intense guilt and remorse James is feeling. Even the name itself and the leaking and water-damaged hallways are the cherry on top. A little later, past the part where you see Angela for the last time walking into a fire, you make it to a room and the song Warped Heart plays. At this point, James has realized that he indeed took his wife's life with his own hands. He is broken, jaded, and a shell of himself, not only from the realization, but from all his other experiences in Silent Hill. The dark, old, rundown surroundings definitely help sell the emotions. The song Warped Heart is the absolute representation of this moment. It encapsulates it. Hell, a heartbeat plays throughout the track. And what elevates this sequence even further is shortly after you enter a room where Maria is hanging with two pyramid heads beside her. They then proceed to kill her. Maria is a manifestation of James' need for punishment, along with the pyramid heads, and Maria is also a representation of James' need for companionship after his wife's death, a manifestation rooted in guilt and self-pity and desire, for it is after he recognizes what he has done, he confronts and triumphs over the pyramid heads. From here, this is where things can deviate based on which ending you're getting. In my first playthrough of Silent Hill 2, I ended up getting the suicide ending, but for the sake of this video, I'll go over the ending I got in my second playthrough, the leave ending. After hearing a memory James had of his wife lashing out and apologizing to him, he proceeds to the rooftop to find what he believes to be his wife, but he quickly finds out it's Marie instead. James comes to the realization that he no longer needs Maria, symbolizing that he's moving forward. Maria becomes angry, transforms into this grotesque figure, and the final boss fight begins. After overcoming the obstacle, James is shown talking to his bedridden wife, asking for forgiveness. His wife says she wanted to die. She wanted her suffering for that disease to end, and James says that's the reason he did what he did, but immediately shoots that down. The reason James gives was that he hated her and how he wanted his life back. Mary asks James a simple question. If that were true, then why do you look so sad? After a little pause, Mary then tells James to do her a favor and move forward with his life. After hearing a letter Mary left for James before she died, you can see James and Laura leaving Silent Hill through the Toluca graveyard, signifying that he indeed has moved on. The music that was being played throughout this sequence was Peace and Serenity, a calm and resolving track, fitting for this outcome. Silent Hill 2 is undoubtedly a masterpiece, especially in OST and atmosphere. The dreadful, otherworldly, somber atmosphere works perfectly in tangent with the atmospheric tense and, in some cases, relaxing soundtrack to create something truly alluring. When I was a kid, my uncle once had a Silent Hill 2 disc. I've always had it, but never played it until one day. It was heavily scratched, so it didn't work. Fast forward to 2022, and I purchased my own working copy of the game. In retrospect, I'm glad I was able to experience it all these years later instead of as a kid. Aside from most likely not being able to continue with the game due to me being really scared as a young, frail kid, I wouldn't be able to absorb and appreciate its themes and other intricacies it offers as I do now. I hope I was able to do this game justice. It was easily one of the best games I've ever played, and to me, it's proof that video games can indeed be art in a form of expression. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there. Peace.